to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast.
All right, welcome back. This is episode 43 of the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. This is Tron. At my side is the co-host. Last week we talked a lot of energy, a lot of rebound energy for us here, which I love that, but real defeatist kind of attitudes, especially from me here, Tron, but I'm feeling good. At my side, though, 10-Inch Cowboy, how was your week in the Warzone?
Oh, well. The week was good. You and I hopped into the beta, the Vanguard beta, downloaded it, plugged it in, played with the listener, actually, which was fun, and some little shit that wouldn't shut his mouth. But other than that, it was great. I'm sure we're going to talk all about that. Yeah, it was fun. Beta version, I'm sure we're going to dive deeper, but interesting, entertaining, have some thoughts, a little different than what the 10-Inch Cowboy was expecting, but nonetheless, it was fun. We ended up obviously playing quite a bit of Rebirth after we got into the beta a little bit, and it was streaky. Had some good games. I think we got a win or two. I know we had one for sure. We had one good win this week, but other than that, it was a slaughterfest, to be honest.
All right, Slaughterfest. I mean, we got some wins this week. Like you said, exclusively Rebirth, and then the Call of Duty Vanguard beta, all of which we're going to dive into. But let's start us off. We always try and, continue you on this journey where we last left off. The most newest thing to come our way, which we were begging for. We talked about it exclusively last week. That was weapons tuning, restoring balance to the state of the meta, and I am proud and happy, pleased. I'm inflated to go off the verb you wanted me to use last week. I am inflated this week in more ways than one because there's balance. In the words of TrueGameData, he feels like the current weapon meta might be the most balanced it's ever been.
Oh, I know you love to hear it.
Yes, I do. And let's start it off. Pretty extensive patch in terms of weapon tuning. We'll give you the rundown, give you the hits here. Kind of like when you go see the Bee Gees in concert. But first up was the beloved Cold War AK-47. And they said they are reassessing and polishing the gun kick of the AK-47 Black Ops to behave more closely to other 7.62 caliber weaponry. Now, I'll be honest. I thought that meant they were going to nerf it. But I got to say, it seems like they lessened it just a little bit, smoothed it out. My beloved AK back on the menu.
Well, yeah, polishing the gun kick, I would imagine, means to smooth it out and make it a little more, user-friendly. So it sounds like this got a little buff, no?
Yeah, it did. You're right. I should have, I guess, done better reading comprehension because you're right. That verb in and of itself, good verb choice there. Polishing it up. It's back on the menu. I'm going to kind of give you a spoiler here straight ahead is that when all things said and done with this patch, TrueGameData went and tested all the ARs, all the main primary weapon options, and he found the fastest TTK as of this podcast is your beloved AK-47. So you got to know I'm happy with that. It's back on the top of my loadout.
You said my beloved AK-47? I have no love for the AK-47.
Oh, my beloved. I'm sorry.
It's definitely your beloved. It's your little thing. You got a really special relationship with that weapon, which, hey, it's all good. It's all good. I don't see it. It has too much recoil for me personally, but, to each their own. And with this balanced weaponry, fuck yeah.
Yeah, baby, that's right. It's not overpowered. You got to handle the fucker. But let's move on to a beloved weapon of yours this time for real. That's the Pharah 83.
I do like the Pharah.
They wrote, forgiving, in addition to sporting a relatively fast and consistent TTK at both of its damage ranges, which we feel is exacerbated by how easy it is to control. We're shifting some of the Pharah's power into locational multipliers and aligning its TTK values more closely with other weapons that require a similar level of skill. So what they did is the maximum damage and minimum damage were both decreased. The head multiplier, though, was increased. Same with the neck and the upper torso as well. So essentially, it seems like you could still burn people pretty good with the Pharah, but you gotta be a little bit more cognizant of where you're hitting.
You got to hit the headshots, baby. You got to aim for the head. No question about it. Shoulders are up. Yeah, I dig it.
No, I dig that too. I think that's a nice trade-off. If you're gonna keep it as a low recoil gun, like I don't think every gun should have recoil. Let's have some lower recoil ones, but this is gonna require precision, which I think is kind of like in the spirit of the M13, kind of with that massive headshot multiplier on it. So I love it.
Yeah, I like knowing. I think that's a good compromise. You know, it's not just. It can be. This is like another a dynamic. The dynamic nature of the weapons here. We're talking like it doesn't necessarily just have to be power. It doesn't have to be TT, or it doesn't have to be power. It doesn't have to be like, you know, ADS. There's all these things we don't ever typically consider, these like, you know, location based like multipliers, like the neck multiplier, the head multiplier, that now have been increased for the Pharah. I think that's really cool. You know, now it's like when I use a weapon, I know I'm aiming nipples up, baby.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's well said. Like there, you know, you don't just have to have one stat that you manipulate up and down. There's ways to give guns different advantages to certain players. Like some players want that zero recoil final, aim this fucking fire hose at their head, you know, as opposed to like Tron's like, I'm going to go with the bigger fucker. I'm going to miss some shots, but the ones that I hit, they're going to slap a little harder. So I like that too. But I guess some of this positivity got to be dampened here a little bit with the next gun, and that is the Krig, which saw a pretty severe nerf from this patch.
This is my beloved Krig. My beloved Krig, yes. Got cut off at the knees, and now it's crawling. It's just crawling around aimlessly. Yeah, it got nerfed pretty bad. I haven't read what they did to it, but I've noticed that it just doesn't seem... It's not as... The recoil went out... The recoil got, like, nerfed big time. It jumps around now. And it just doesn't slap the same.
Yeah, the power isn't there. It's kind of like when the Kilo got nerfed, reminiscent of that. You know, they didn't, I imagine, make this decision lightly, but they knew it was going to ruffle some feathers because they wrote a goddamn near paragraph about it, saying the Krig 6 has dominated the scene for some time now and has continued to do so following our latest changes. We would like to take a moment to dissect why the Krig 6 has been so resilient. All right, I'm not going to read this next part, but they basically said the generous neck multiplier created a scenario where its TTK could be reduced consistently and easily with a single bullet. We believe these changes will more firmly place the Krig 6 where it belongs, in the path of Warzone weapon mastery, a first or second stepping stone. Wow.
A first or second stepping stone? What the hell does that mean?
That means they said you were like on pull-ups, dude, for this fucking Krig 6. That's what they wanted. They don't want it to be like the big boy pants. They want it to be the pull-ups.
Like, what does that mean, though? I'm failing to recognize the analogy.
I guess it's like, it's good, but once you get the hang of it, you can move on to other guns that are better. I don't know. That's a really interesting statement. But in terms of what they did here, the recoil was increased and the neck multiplier was decreased.
So, the recoil was increased. I definitely noticed the recoil increased. Yeah, and then... But I'm still confused here. Are they saying that this Krig is supposed to be like an amateur weapon?
Some would say, I mean, you're reading their words. Yes, I think that argument can be made.
I don't know if I feel offended or not, because I love this weapon so much, and they're literally pointing out that this is for like the amateur. I guess I am an amateur. What am I talking about? Why am I even fighting it at this point? We host a goddamn podcast called the Warzone Amateur Hour. I guess this weapon was just made for me.
Yeah, so it explains a lot, and but again, you're not using it now, so that says maybe you're not as amateur as you think. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's sad. I love that weapon. That was one of the longer romances I've had with a weapon, and I went from the car basically to the Krig, and the Krig it's been good to me. I'm gonna miss it. I hope it comes back.
Well, if my memory serves me correct, the whole reason you picked that up in the first place was because our listeners were crying out for you to do so. So we got to send some love there. Always appreciate those pieces of advice. Next up on the list was the QBZ, which this was really interesting to read because in my mind, like, that's all about mobility, that gun. You move fast as fuck with that. But they said, we have a vision for where we would like the easiest to control long-range weapon to lie on the TTK spectrum. We believe we're close, but not quite there. In the wake of these weapons changes, Our long-range engagement space may be succeeded by the QBZ. We'll be monitoring its performance over the coming weeks to ensure it meets our expectations.
I never really got into the QBZ. Did you ever equip it and play with it?
I ran with it early in the season and it was fun. Like it felt strong, but then I kind of realized there were some better options like the C58 and I forget what else I was running. So I didn't really commit to leveling it up. I'll always be glad to pick it up when it was ground loot. It doesn't seem like it is anymore.
Yeah, I haven't noticed it a lot at all lately, actually. I maybe saw one this week. I feel like I saw one QBZ on the ground. It could actually have been a custom weapon. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I think this could be from what I'm reading, it sounds like they want it to be a long range AR where it's like, I think this would be great as like the short range kind of SMG type, FFAR AR action here. But I guess that's not their long range vision. So what they did is the recoil was increased slightly and the recoil dampening was enabled.
Yeah, but adding more recoil would strengthen it more as a short range weapon as opposed to a long range weapon, right? Like it seems like that's a little ass backwards on their part.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, my reading comprehension, maybe I didn't get it right. Check out the patch notes, but that's where the QBZ's at. I haven't really heard that's meta by any, shot of the imagination.
Yeah.
But next up, the one that I was fucking waiting for, the one that broke the game, that eluded me, so it made me especially mad. Like, if there's a broken gun and I can use it, I'll kind of maybe tolerate that a little bit. But if you're going to leave me outside this party where everyone inside's just blasting people, I'm going to call the fucking cops, all right? And so that's with the OTS-9, that whole story to circle us back around here. That finally was nerfed back into, like, reasonable land. It is still, by and large, a top SMG choice, but it's no longer broken. And what they said is part of what made the OTS-9 a powerhouse was how easily it could achieve its reduced TTK speeds with a shared headshot and neck shot multiplier. Headshots were nearly twice as easy to hit, making it remarkably forgiving for a weapon with extraordinary TTK potentials. These changes will require more precision to achieve its fastest TTKs. It'll still be at the top of the mobility food chain and will remain hardly bested in close quarters engagements, giving a few well-placed shots.
Did you end up unlocking it and getting it in your little loadout?
So, no, but I don't know. I'm wondering if the pregame lobbies count towards that challenge, because I've made a concerted effort in the pregame to only use my SMG and try and get those back-to-back kills, and I've noticed. So you got to do that 15 times, and I've checked recently, and I'm at 5 out of 15. So I've crept up a little bit. I have no idea when, those were acquired. So yes, no, I have not. I'm glad this is nerfed back into the balance. At the end of this, we'll circle back, and I'll tell you kind of what TrueGameData identified as the best weapons at the moment. But OTS-9 finally unbroken. I like what they did, kind of like with the Pharah. Like, they're going to still reward precision. If you're deadly, if you hit your shots, you can still slap, but it's not like a joke.
Yeah. I mean, it still seems like a pretty viable weapon. But yeah, this week there were a lot of I saw such a variety of ground loot this week. It was really encouraging. Also, not on this list though, the Bullfrog kind of seems to be making a sneaky comeback. Picked up a lot of Bullfrogs this week, and I think you were telling me that you were on the Bullfrog train.
Yes, I was, until this patch happened, and I realized that the Modern Warfare Mp7 is back, back in the meta conversation for SMG. So I switched over from that. But the Bullfrog, I'm very happy with it. I like that gun a lot.
It's nice to have that 84 bullet chamber. Really helps you spray it down, especially in like a rebirth situation where sometimes you're pulling up on 3 or 4 guys and it's, rebirth, and it just gets fucking hot and heavy and wet in there, and you're just unleashing that Bullfrog. Having 84 rounds is really nice. You don't have to reload so many times.
Absolutely. It's a good gun. As I said, the meta is pretty open, so if you want to run the Bullfrog or you've been looking to try it, now's the time. But let's move on. The Tech 9 was nerfed a little bit too, although they increased the neck multiplier. And then let's move on to the other one that was quote unquote broken, or, the unquestioned meta. That was the Stoner. That received some balancing. They said it has many desirable traits. Its recoil, gun kick, and handling were more what one might expect from a 5.56 assault rifle rather than an LMG. These added downsides that I guess with this update will have players thinking twice about bringing an LMG to an AR fight. And the recoil was adjusted, the gun kick was adjusted, and the raise interrupt time was increased from 0.8 to 1 second.
Yeah, I wasn't running the stoner on any of my loadouts, even though I probably should have built a loadout with it because I'm sure I had it leveled up. But I did grab some ground loot after this update, grabbed one of the stoners, and it just didn't... the recoil was noticeable. It was bouncing around. I think I tried to use it as like a very long range, kind of like machine gun, obviously. I wasn't mounted on something, but I was trying to aim for someone maybe 200 meters away or something like that. And it was bouncing around. It was really hard for me to hit him.
I know the moment you're talking about. I actually don't think that was a ground loot stoner. I think that was an MG82, but I was watching it and you were not ready for the kick on that gun. You pulled the trigger and that damn thing went straight up high. Like when you see like a high school kid handling a fire hose.
Oh, it just flew right up. Oh, yeah, I'm glad you saw that. Yeah, you must have been spectating me, but I was aiming for someone like on a roof or something, and it just went into the sky. Yeah, that was bad.
So, yeah, haven't got my hands really on the stoner. Like you said, I probably could have dabbled into it during this period of its dominance, but that period, it seems like kind of over, although still a very viable weapon. So and then the final weapons change, which offhanded is the TAC Rifle Charlie, which is the Cold War AUG. The recoil was decreased. They're still trying to, that thing at one point was the broken gun of Warzone. They're still trying to slowly get it back to be, come play with it. Play with the fucking thing. So yeah, making the recoil a little less on that. But the final wrap up is, we're always looking for, what does this mean? All these fucking changes. What does it mean for the amateur here? Where do I go to my loadout? What do I do? And thankfully these guys like TrueGameData lay it out pretty clearly. So in terms of ARs, LMGs, your primary weapon spot, his recommendations are the Cold War AK-47, which now has the best TTK for chest shots, headshots, and extremities. The C58's right there with it. The Stoner, they said still probably the best. The Stoner is for long range. And the XM4, I guess, is a beast if you can hit the neck and headshot multiplier. It has the best neck shot multiplier, in the game. Alongside that in the meta, he thinks is the EM2. And the last one he listed, which you gotta love to hear, he said the Modern Warfare M13, baby. He said, don't count it out. A lot of people talk crap on this gun because it's easier to control, but you can do a shit ton of damage. Speaking of, massive headshot multipliers. So that's the primary meta at the moment, according to the gun numbers guy.
Wow, this is pretty incredible list of weapons. I know that you just love seeing that AK-47 and the M13 on there. Woo! But I bet you love seeing that C58 because I know you had a little affair with that bad boy too.
Woo! I love it.
So, maybe what am I going to do? All my go-to, my Krig, my Pharah, all of those are gone now. What the hell am I supposed to do? I guess I could fall back to the M13, but I want something with a little more power. Once I've, now that I've ridden the steel hog that is these like big, massive, long-range ARs, like I can't go back to the M13. It seems cowardly to me.
Well, you've leveled the AK up, I'm pretty sure, baby. Now,
I can't. I'm not going AK. Just out of principle.
They smoothed the recoil. Maybe it's now good.
Out of just respect for myself and out of disdain for your choices, I'm not going with the AK-47. I might take a look at the C58 or maybe Stoner. Maybe I gotta get back to my LMG roots.
That could be good.
But with the, obviously this decision has to be based off of what secondary weapon I'm going to be running with. So I'm sure we got some SMG updates from TrueGameData.
That is an excellent segue there. Absolutely. So that was the, AR LMG meta. In terms of the SMG meta, TrueGameData is saying the Modern Warfare MP5 is going to have the best TTKs for SMGs. The OTS-9 has a bit better mobility, and if you can hit those head or neck shots, then it can be surpass that in terms of TTK. Then also the Modern Warfare MP7, which he said is if you're looking for like the best longer range kind of, like the Milano used to be, that one. And the PPSH, he said, is like his favorite all around. I think that's the one he personally runs on his stream. So those are the kind of the leftover SMGs, and I can attest the Modern Warfare MP5. That thing it's slapping again, dude. Get the 10mm rounds off of it. Those are no longer broken. Get the regular, 45 round mag, your normal build. I run the sleight of hand on that bitch so I can be reloading real quick, and I'm feeling good about that thing.
Wow. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I think I got that one pretty high leveled up. I also have been seeing a couple of MP7s ground loot after I destroy people, and maybe I'll have to try. I've always had a weird fascination with the MP7.
Well, really, rarely on it was a ground loot, and I'm with you. I enjoyed having that gun. I kind of like the idea of it. It's kind of like the Milano for the Modern Warfare kind of thing.
Yes.
Except for the Milano got cast aside now. Maybe get brought back later on this season. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe I'll check out that MP7. And yeah, I know the MP7 has a better range, right? It's a little bit longer. It can be a little bit longer SMG.
Yeah, he said that's the best SMG for range. It kind of handles nice. It hits hard. It's a good one. Check it out.
Yeah, I wonder what I would run with an MP7. I could see like an MP7 C58 loadout or an MP7 Stoner loadout. Could be cool.
Those are kind of both long range, so I don't know. I feel like if you're going to go longer range primary, you kind of want quick response, mobility type of thing. Short range, I don't know. I think you'll like the Modern Warfare MP5. It also has really good hip fire, which I've started to do a bit more in close quarters.
Yeah. It's just you get that first shot off a little quicker.
Yeah, embrace my panicking amateur roots from like, ugh, and don't even worry about the left trigger. You just hold the right one.
Yeah, maybe I'll start doing that too. Man, I kind of want to get a game in. We should play.
Hey, man, I'm right there with you, but that's the beauty. And I could say I had a ton of fun played extensively this week and this weekend. Hard-fought games, got some victories. It wasn't like I was dominating the lobbies, but it was just fun. So I'm loving the state of the game. They've restored the balance. I can't wait for the new Warzone, the new map, and after playing the beta, which we're just going to dive into, I can't wait for the whole integration. It can't come soon enough, but let's talk about it. Here on the Warzone Amateur Hour, the first ever tastes of the newest Call of Duty offering, Call of Duty Vanguard. We went back to World War II. We strapped on the new guns. What are your first impressions, 10-inch Cowboy?
So I guess I don't know what I was expecting. Because my video game life has been Warzone. So going into Vanguard, I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, but it essentially is a multiplayer game. It was more like Black Ops, and
that's exactly the point. Yes, it's a standalone multiplayer game.
I don't know why I was expecting to play a Warzone style game in this beta, but that's what I went in. So inevitably I was let down a little bit. It's my own fault because I'm an idiot, but I totally thought that it was, so that happened. So I was a little disappointed there, but it's a very fluid game. It's very smooth. It's so funny because the video game language that I know is Warzone. So the way that people move, the fluidity of it, the way it all works, the way that you control your character when you're playing has a very specific feel in Warzone. And I'm sure everyone realizes this, but I'm just saying this because I'm an amateur here. When I went into Vanguard, it is different. It looks different. It feels different. It's not, and I'm not to say it's wrong or bad. It's just different. And it's smooth. It took me a little bit of time to kind of get used to kind of the ADS and the shooting. It's just a little bit different, but I didn't realize that. I thought that they were going to bring the visual nature of Vanguard to I guess what would be the engine of Warzone, and it was going to still have the same feel, it's just with a new look. I realized after I played Vanguard, is the new Warzone update going to have a completely different feel to it too?
Yeah, we're going to a new engine. I got to imagine all the mechanics, all the feel, the timing of it. That's the new world we're going to be living in. But I got to say, that's my next question to you is, after playing this, kind of taking a step back from that box and now thinking about, or that universe, and thinking about Warzone existing within that kind of universe. How are you feeling about it? You excited? You fucking worried? You think it's going to suck?
I'm nervous and scared. I fear change. What do you want me to say? I think that I just want a new map. That's all I really want. I just want a new fucking tropical map. I don't want a new engine. I just wanted a new map. I've just spent the last like year and a half figuring out how to play with this old thing, and I'm finally starting to get somewhere, and they're going to switch it up on me, and I'm going to be back to square one. I know what's going to happen. It sucks. So, no, I'm not excited about it. Are you?
Wow. Well, wait. Well, that said, like, you're making it sound like you really got slapped around here, but for fairness sake, for the Cowboys, like, dignity, you should mention you had a game you were like 10-4, and I know you started to have fun then. Once you started to get the hang of it, which didn't take long, you were starting to have fun. I could hear it in your fucking voice.
It was fun. It was definitely fun. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't expecting. I was getting slapped around at first, though. I mean, I guess that's normal, but I don't know. It felt honestly like I was playing Cold War. You know?
Really?
Black Ops Cold War. Yeah. Like, what's the difference? And this is, people are going to scoff at me for saying this, but like, what's the fucking difference between Black Ops Cold War and Vanguard? They felt like I was playing the same damn game.
Really?
Like, it was those two are way more similar than either of those with Warzone for me, the movement and feel.
So, in essence, then, for Modern Warfare 2019, like, the three games essentially we're comparing here is Modern Warfare 19, which was like Shipment, you know, those maps, all those guns, Black Ops Cold War, and now, yes, Vanguard. So those three games have their own individual engines. And Warzone, though, has solely existed off the Modern Warfare engine. So to answer your question, like, how is this different from Cold War? I played Cold War, not a ton, but like, for one, from Modern Warfare to Cold War, huge fucking difference. Like, night and day. It feels more arcadey, Black Ops does in my mind. Like, there's way weirder movement. It's not as smooth. It's just kind of herky-jerky. Whereas I guess I would say, like, from Black Ops to Vanguard is less of a severe change, but I feel like they're definitely, like, remarkably different feeling games. Black Ops, Cold War, and Vanguard.
Okay. Maybe I need to touch up on my Black Ops, but back to the original point. Yeah, it definitely felt a little different. I definitely was having fun. But, I mean, after a little bit, it was like, all right, fuck this. Let's go back to Warzone. You know? Like, we definitely were like, all right, that was fun. Let's go back to Warzone.
See, I think, though, that's more just speaks to the nature of multiplayer, which I'm with you. Like, there's something about battle royales that just keep you coming back. Like, where multiplayer just doesn't offer the same experience, the same level of engagement game after game. It's much more monotonous and, like, droney. But that said, you know, I gotta say, I was really pleased with Vanguard, and I'm extremely excited about the fact that Warzone's going to be running on this engine. Like, I think the guns have pretty significant recoil. I like the feel of them. The attachment system, yeah, the 10 attachment thing's totally fucking overblown. Like, that's ridiculous. However, the way, though, that they've simplified the stats, huge fan. I don't know if you all have noticed, but you go and when you look at comparing your weapon attachments, instead of having like the stupid little like graph bar where you're trying to measure like, what is that bigger than the other one? This just gives you basic numbers, like one, you know, recoil +1, recoil +2, whatever. And then if you want it, you can hit a trigger and you can see precise, like I said, millisecond, like quantified data. So they kind of make it simple or advanced, however you want to get, how granular you want to get. So I really like that.
I like that. That's nice. I really like that. Yeah, because like it's like, what the fuck does a sliding bar mean if there's no, like, you don't know what that means? You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's pretty cool. It's a little longer than that one. It's like, no, tell me what the fuck it means, you know?
Yeah, and on top of that, I heard the bar wasn't even accurate in a lot of cases. So,
wow, they're just fucking joshing us.
Yeah, another aspect that I really like is sliding still in the game. Slide canceling, so to speak, is still in the game, but unless I'm doing it wrong, which very possible, it seems like it's not as abused. Like, you're not just popping up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. There's a little bit of a delay before the guy pulls his gun up, even after doing the slide cancel. Unless, again, maybe I'm fucking doing it wrong and I haven't yet learned how to, you know, work the system. But I think that's fucking really exciting if that's the case.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, okay, so now okay, I understand that, but I meant more like gameplay wise, like movement, the feel of it. How did you enjoy that?
I like the movement. It's cool now that when you mount, you can kind of shimmy left and right. That was cool to me. Again, yeah, I like that there's a pretty significant recoil. I felt like in Black Ops Cold War, recoil was like very minimal, if nothing. So a lot of things to get excited about. The kill streaks are cool. There's going to be no heartbeat sensor from my understanding, which that's going to really open up the game.
Yeah, I like the no heartbeat. My question though also is question for you in regards to kill streaks. That's a part of the multiplayer. They're not bringing kill streaks into Warzone in the same nature that they are in the multiplayer, right?
I don't know. I got to imagine there might be some carryover. There might be some adoption of Vanguard stuff, but that's true. We don't know that for sure. Again, I like the visual aspect of the game, the colors. The audio needs a fuck ton of work.
Oh, the audio was not even like nowhere near ready. I couldn't hear the game essentially. Like with the voices of my teammates, you and who did we play with? What was his name?
Bonham.
Yeah. So we played with him and then some obnoxious little shit. And they were so loud. It was like I couldn't even hear the idea of hearing footsteps. Yeah, right. It was so low. I had everything cranked up as loud as possible. I couldn't hear shit.
Yeah, I'm with you. Audio totally fucked. But again, like, I'm feeling good. I like playing the multiplayer. And to me, that's a very good sign for things to come. I like the visuals. It's nice having a PS5 native. I can't wait for a fucking FOV slider. Like, that's going to be a game changer. So I'm excited for the future of Warzone.
Has that been confirmed?
Well, like we said last week, they confirmed 100% that it will be there for Vanguard as a standalone multiplayer game for consoles. We'll have an FOV at launch, which, again, as we touched on last week, if you pay attention, you gotta, by the, rule of whatever the fuck, extrapolate that information that if the new Warzone is going to be running on the Vanguard engine and the Vanguard engine has FOV, therefore Warzone will. End of equation.
Okay, thank you for the breakdown.
Yeah, so that's really it though for our agenda this week. That's really it for the state of Warzone. Where are you at emotionally, psychologically, physically here with your Warzone self?
I really like Rebirth. It's really fun, We dropped in a couple of times to the big old Verdansk map this week. Didn't go very well for us. I think we died really quickly, actually. A couple of bad drop locations chosen on my part and your part. It was just bad. We had a couple of bad sessions. So, it's funny. We don't play the big map anymore. We really don't. And when we try, it doesn't go well. We did the Iron Trials, right? We played Iron Trials. Gosh, that Gulag is brutal. The new Gulag is really hard. I don't know if we've talked about that all that much, but the new Gulag with that little paintball, whatever it is hard.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because it almost slipped our mind. Wasn't on the agenda, but we definitely needed to talk about. That was, yes, we got our hands on the new Iron Trials 84 game mode, which as advertised offers way longer TTKs. Your health regenerates much slower. Loadouts are way more expensive. We only played 2 games, which I believe, we need to give more of a go. And I heard some actually really good things from some friends of the podcast who played it later on that evening that were loving it. Though, in our case, very unlucky. I mean, our first game, we hot dropped on a team, both pushed with the stupid Magnum that you started with. And, a guy found a fucking LMG or something and mowed us down. And then the second game, that was where I really saw the difference in the game mode because I was shooting this motherfucker, but I wasn't quite accurate enough. And I didn't take him down. He got away. I couldn't, didn't push, didn't get aggressive enough, didn't win that gunfight. He came right back and whipped my ass.
Yeah. It's, I couldn't help but thinking when you were just describing that, how, some friends of the pod were playing and we were talking to them about it. And, there's quite a few people that aren't playing anymore these days. It's been a while since there was a heavy enthusiasm with some of our friends to be like, yo, let's fucking play. Let's hop on, and I just hope that these changes, as good they are for the game, I hope it's not too little too late because, some people are starting to look elsewhere and it makes me sad.
Yeah, it can't come soon enough. I hope people that have been away from the game might come back, give it a try. I know the streamers are really loving it. It's interesting to see the different strategies too. I've seen a lot of streamers now run the stimulus shots with restock because the health regeneration is such a big factor in this one. You lose your place and you're still well in the game in this version. It's not like, oh, you're naked, one shot's going to blow you down to the gulag. So it's an interesting dynamic. I think we should give it a go. It's back, I think, for another week. So next time we log on, run a few of those too, maybe give it a go.
Yeah, I would love that. I'm also down to play today. I've kind of got the itch after talking about it. I got to feel the controller in my hands. You know what I mean?
Well, I love it, and that's going to do it for us this week on the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. Thank you all so much for dropping in with us. We are rapidly approaching the new Warzone time. I realized it's going to almost coincide with the 1-year anniversary of this podcast, so we gotta know we're excited for what's coming. We're glad Warzone in its current iteration is back on track. Get back and let's get the fucking band back together. Let's get the enthusiasm back, baby.
Yeah, what are we gonna do for the 1-year anniversary? We gotta do something.
We will figure that out, and we will talk to you next week. And until then,
Good luck in the gulag.